I think about this a lot, and let me give an example of this. I sold my home health and hospice company, and when you're selling a home health and hospice company, let's say you're doing $1 million in EBITDA, you sell anywhere between 5 and 7 times earnings. Okay, if you're below $1 million in EBITDA, you're selling 3 to 5 times earnings, right? So we're talking about 3 to 5 times, maybe up to 7 times in that range. If you go to the total other end of the spectrum, publicly traded company, there's a publicly traded company called the Penning Group. Right now, if you look at their market cap, they are valued at what do you think their multiple as a times earnings?
I have no idea. What, 20? I
That's
don't
okay.
know. 20.
Yeah,
I'll say 20 just
35.
for 35. Okay, yeah.
Right.
It's high. I know. I just
35
didn't know how
times.
high. Yeah.
All right, so they're trading for 35 times earnings. I traded for 5 to 7 times earnings. That's a huge gap. Why? And why does the multiple get higher the more EBITDA that a company is spitting off? Well, the idea is that the more money a company is making, the more stable it is, the surer of a bet it is. So when investors are coming and looking at these businesses, they want to know how sure of a bet is this business. And if it's not a sure bet, if there aren't processes in place, if there isn't a history, if this isn't something that I feel confident that it's going to succeed even after this owner has left, I'm going to apply a discount to it. Of course I would. Why wouldn't I apply a discount? But if I'm looking at it and it's like, oh man, they've got really good systems and they've got a really good team and they've got, wow, this owner could step away for a couple months and it's still running decently. Yeah, I'll give a 5x to this business because that's what it's worth. It's a safer bet, right? Whereas if it doesn't have those things, I'm going to pay less money for that. It's just how the market works.
Oh well, and this hat is Adidas, and we think about CEOs, we think about the CEO Tim Cook, or yeah, but most publicly traded companies, we have no idea who the CEO is. And to your point,
Right.
they can replace the CEO. Or the CEO could die or quit or whatever, and the new person can step in, and they're ready to take off or be acquired or whatever might happen. And so,
And they've
but
and they've got a board and they've
yeah,
got a bunch of C-level suite executives and they've got then VPs at the next level and then they've got regional people at the next level. Like there's a reason why that company is just going to keep humming. But if you're on the small end and it's like you remove that CEO and they're doing everything, of course, there's just way more risk.
yeah, and so if we put some math on it, you said a million EBITDA, so we'll just say a million net if you're not familiar with EBITDA, but we'll just say net. Okay, so you're doing a million
Mhm.
net, and so you said 5 to 7 or 3 to 5, right? So if you're multiplying, well, 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 times 7 is
Yeah.
7. That's $4 million difference, right? That's a $4 million
Yeah.
difference on how you set your company up, and so when you look at M&A, that's why I always kind of joke it's a high risk, high stakes game. But the reality is, I think a lot of owners have been sucked into, well, buy the discount software, get this special here, do this there, because how do you track and all this stuff? Is like, well, in M&A, man, it could be millions of dollars you're leaving on the table if you don't do it right. And so when you bought that company, did you have an exit in mind as soon as you bought it, or did that come later? And at what point do you start positioning it to exit?
So because I'd worked in the corporate role and because I had seen a ton of problems that had come from what happens when you buy poorly, I knew that there were certain things that I had to make sure were buttoned up from the very beginning. And I've always had this philosophy, always. As I started buying businesses, I've always had the philosophy of I may not sell the business, but I always want to be in a position to sell the business because it just gives you optionality. What if I got sick? What if I got hit by a bus? What if I won the lottery and I didn't need the business anymore, right? What if we were growing? If you're not in a position to sell, then you're really in a very weak position if one of those things bad things happen. So I was looking at it from like a negative perspective. As I've gotten more mature, I realized actually building a company that is sellable really should be the goal of every entrepreneur because if your company is not sellable, that means everything's on you. That means all the decision making, all the team building, all the marketing, all the compliance, all the operations, they're on you. That's not a sellable business. You want to build a business that gives you time freedom. And so inherently, that's going to be a business that you bring other people along the journey in where it's not totally dependent on you. So it flipped from like this negative, like, well, if something bad happens, I want to be able to sell to no, a sellable business is the type of business I want to run. So let me architect that just in case and if I ever do want to sell, I'll be in the position to sell. So that's been my philosophy since the beginning.
Yeah, I only pushback I'd have there is I don't think every business has to be built to be sold. But I would say so many owners don't think about selling, and then they kind of in their mind go, "Oh, I'll sell it one day," and they're not actively ready to sell, and so their 401k, their stocks, or real estate wasn't built to handle retirement, and then their business isn't really worth what they
Mhm.
want it to be for retirement. And so, if you're never going to sell, you got to start investing a certain way so that you never get that big payday. It's not coming, and so
Let
that
me
that's
let,
go
let
ahead.
me ask you this,
Yeah.
and I love this. I love debating this. What business? In what scenario would you not build a sellable business?
Well, I'm not building one right now, so I mean, it's like
Tell me. No,
so
no. Tell me about
consulting.
it.
Yeah, consulting. What we do, consulting work, right? So, I mean, and I've gone back and forth because I've bought and sold a company, and I understand what's going on there, and so the amount of work. I like working with people one on one or in a group setting. I like that. I
Hmm.
enjoy that. In my previous company, I had to give up that work because we had to have so many layers of people to do stuff. And so it's like, okay, do I want to bring someone in and then train them and then make sure we're providing leads for them to
Sure.
consult with people and stuff like that? So, but my
Do you
strategy
have
is like,
no
okay,
systems? Do you have no systems in your business?
we have systems, yeah.
Do you have
We get,
processes?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's
Can you
just that
take a week
syllable
off?
for. Oh yeah, yeah. I took a month off here a few weeks ago, so I'm just coming.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm actually just coming back to work. So yeah,
nice. Well, I mean that's my point. Is like you have a sellable business.
yeah,
That doesn't mean that you're going to sell, but like
yes,
the fact that your business is sellable inherently means you have built a good business
yeah,
where it can sustain. You have processes, et cetera. So I'm using the term it's a
yeah,
sellable business, but we could call it anything we want. I don't. I think any entrepreneur should be building a business that could be sold. I'm not saying that they should sell. It's just build a business that could be sold. And businesses that can be sold have processes. They have people. They have a culture. They have a clear
mm-hmm,
understanding of who their ICP is. They
mm-hmm,
understand how to go to market. So that's more of what I mean by
right,
having
yeah.
a quote unquote sellable business.
Well, I don't disagree with the heart of what you're saying because I've talked to so many owners and they were in their 60s or 70s and they're expecting
Hmm.
4, 5, 6, $10 million, $20 million, whatever it is, and their business is worth like 1, 2, $3 million, and like I can't sell for that. It's like, well, okay, right? Well, I need this money to
Yeah.
retire. It's like, no, well, I mean, I'm sorry, it's just not worth that, and so to
Right.
so what I agree with is that if you're not going to try to sell or don't think you can ever sell, you at least have to be aware of that mentality going, okay, how do I set myself up to retire without selling? And a lot of owners
Hmm.
don't have that mentality either.